Hi TestTube News viewers, I'm Joel Suzdaltsev. We're here with Tim Pool, a digital journalist who is reinventing the media world. Tim has covered conflict in Venezuela, Ukraine, Egypt, Brazil, and Turkey, and he was one of the first people to do a live news report by aerial drone. Tim, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, the nature of reporting has changed considerably in the past few years. What do you think is the difference between 20th century journalism and what you're doing now?
I think the one answer everyone always gives is that, back in the day, a reporter would go out, watch an event happen, and then write about it, or they would go out and find witnesses and ask them what happened and write about it. Today, we're all journalists. We're all the eyewitnesses.
So now pretty much anybody can become a journalist.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's like everyone is a citizen journalist. Or I should say, a citizen journalist is that person who's out walking their dog, minding their own business when a plane crashes and they film it. At any point, anyone today can become the most important journalist in the world. If you're in the right place at the right time and you have your phone, sending out one sentence could change the world.
But if everybody can be a journalist, how do we know who to trust? How do we know that anybody who's trying to be a journalist is unbiased or has integrity?
That's seriously one of the biggest challenges. I think, unfortunately, most people just look, in their Twitter profile, does it say I'm a reporter? Do they have a verified check mark? When I first started doing this, I reported from a court case in Chicago during these big NATO protests. And I was the first one out of the courtroom and I said, boom, here's the facts, bond was set at, X million dollars. And the response I got from everyone is, who is this guy? Can we get a source on this? And so here I am as I'm a journalist. I've been covering this stuff for, at that point, 2 years or for a year and a half. And no one trusted me. One day, a blue check mark was added to my profile and everyone believed everything I said.
So then, what do you think is the role of media and media companies in sort of this new age of journalism?
Right now, the key thing that these companies need to be doing, and what a lot of them are doing, is making news from noise. We're seeing all of these different puzzle pieces drop off these photos, these tweets. Journalists have to sit there and find that narrative and figure out what happened. We can see all these pieces, they come together, and there's your story. But aside from that, one thing that's often neglected in this story about the future of media is that the average citizen is not going to investigate a corrupt multinational corporation or corrupt politicians. That's going to be a journalist with sources who digs deep and finds those stories.
What is the hardest part about being a digital journalist in the field?
The worst thing actually just happened to me recently when I was out in Ferguson, and this protest was happening and it got really intense. A car drove through a bunch of protesters and I had no cell coverage. So at that point, I couldn't do anything. People were sharing, the information through their different services. My service wasn't working, so I felt like I might as well not even been there. But in most of these events, if you're a journalist on the ground, if you don't have access to, the fire hose, to that data feed to send that information out immediately, the information's going to get out before you, and if you're not connected, you might as well not be there. The other big challenge is monetization. How are these companies going to survive?
Right. Because that whole model is completely changed now.
Oh yeah.
It's not just served by, an ad in a newspaper and, the story is on the side. Now there's whole industries covering this.
I think no one disagrees with this, but that's why media companies are losing money. They're on the decline. I guess the scary thing is we end up seeing a lot of advertorial content. A company says, hey, write about how awesome we are. And then you end up getting a bunch of publications that their advertisers are the people they cover.
What other ways do you feel like journalism is going to keep changing in the next few years?
I think live streaming is becoming a bigger and bigger piece of breaking news, and that's awesome. There's never been more interest in mobile live streaming, and that means when a breaking news event happens, like an explosion, a massive explosion in China, or there might be a shooting, instead of crossing our fingers and saying, I hope, I want to know what's going on, where's the news, you're gonna have a window into that moment. So I would like everybody to download some live streaming app, just because you never know when you might become the most important journalist in the world.
So basically, everybody download live streaming apps and become a citizen journalist yourself. Tim, thanks so much for joining us. Make sure to check out his YouTube channel and the video he did for us about Russia.
Last year, Russia's economy grew barely 0.5% compared to 4.5% in 2010. Russia is also majorly unhappy with the buildup of NATO forces throughout Eastern Europe following the collapse of the Soviet Union. They see the increase in military bases and personnel as a method of keeping Russia subjugated.
Thanks for watching TestTube News. Make sure to like and subscribe for new videos every week.